one of the mainstream newspapers in the UK has published an article in the past couple of days in which they claim that according to their sources, Anthony Joshua earned roughly £3 million for his fight against Dillian Whyte. If that's true, that is absolutely incredible, because Anthony Joshua is just a prospect. This is not a guy who's fought at European level or world level. He's just fought at domestic British level. And the same with his rival, Dillian Whyte. These are just prospects. So for a prospect like Joshua to fight another prospect and to do, I believe he did 400,000 pay-per-view buys on Sky and reputedly earn a purse of £3 million, which for those of you who are not from the UK, or maybe you're from the US, £3 million is roughly equivalent to $5 million US. For a prospect, you know, fighting for a British title to earn that type of money is crazy. Good for him if that's true. Okay, I ain't watching nobody's pockets. Whatever you earn is whatever you earn. I just hope you're not getting ripped off. That's the only thing I really care about when it comes to fighters and money. I just hope the guys ain't getting ripped off. I'm hoping they're getting what they're owed and what they're worth. So good for Joshua, if it's true. However, my concern about it, whether or not it is true or accurate or not, if it is true, my concern is that Sky, being a business, they're not going to accept anything less, or their goal is not going to be anything less than an increase in the pay-per-views they did last time with Joshua. Last time he did 400,000, which is an incredible amount. Just think about it. And I have to say, though, pay-per-views in the UK are much cheaper than they are in the US. Okay, in the UK, I believe Joshua Whyte was £17, which is the equivalent of about, my maths ain't great, but it's probably about $25 or something. Yeah, about $25, maybe a little bit less, $23, something like that. In the US, pay-per-views are $60 and more. So it's easier to sell 400,000 when your pay-per-views are only £17 or, you know, $25 than it is if your pay-per-views are costing you $60, which is like £40 or £45 or whatever. So it's easier to sell 400,000 in the UK, right, with those cheap pay-per-views. But there are people saying, well, Joshua, given how cheap the pay-per-views are, there's no way he could have made 3 million. The pay-per-views in the UK still have advertisements. They still have commercials running during a pay-per-view show. In America, they are advertisement commercial free. Yeah. So they rely completely on those pay-per-view shows in America on the advertising, whereas in the UK, they rely completely on the pay-per-view price to get their income on the pay-per-view shows in America. Whereas in the UK, they're getting money from the pay-per-view price, but they're also getting money from advertising as well, from the, you know, commercials and that they run in between rounds and all that type of stuff. So I don't know whether he really did make the 3 million or not. If you've got any other information on it, it'd be interesting to hear. Did he really make that? Because if he really made 3 million against Dillian Whyte, then that has to be the highest purse that a fighter has ever got for a British title fight. By far. There can't be any higher purse than that. I mean, most fighters who fight for world titles don't get 3 million. That is incredible. Plus, he had a load of sponsors as well on top of that. So, wow, he really did hit the jackpot with that Dillian Whyte fight. But again, my concern is that Sky are going to say, okay, well, we need to hit these numbers for Joshua's next fight. We need to hit higher numbers and keep pushing it up, because that's how these greedy businesses operate. They always want their profits up, even when they're already astronomically high. The welfare of the fighter is secondary. Forget about him. They don't care about him. He needs to earn us more money than he earned last time. That's their priority, and that's the pressure that they're going to try and put on Joshua and Hearn and all these people surrounding the Joshua team. We need to make more money next time. So they're going to have to match him tough. You know, they're going to have to match him tough. How gullible are the casual fans? Would he really accept another pay-per-view against an anonymous journeyman? Some over-the-hill guy? Would he really accept a pay-per-view? With Dillian Whyte, they had an unbeaten fighter. They had a fighter who had a history with Anthony Joshua. Anyone can go on YouTube and see the amateur fight they had together. A genuine needle. That was an easy fight to market. If you're pulling out some anonymous journeyman or whoever, some over-the-hill contender, can they really do more than 400,000 buys or equivalent to 400,000 buys? I don't know. They are, at the moment, doing very well with the Joshua brand in terms of selling it to the general public in the UK. The Joshua brand is, the stock for the Joshua brand is high at the moment because that Dillian Whyte fight delivered. It wasn't an early blowout. It wasn't a walkover for Joshua. It was a competitive fight which had its ups and downs for Joshua, and eventually he pulled out a spectacular one-punch KO. So the fans were extremely happy with what they saw there. But, how long will that last? The next fight has to deliver in similar fashion, or else the Joshua brand's going to take a knock. So this is where it would be beneficial for Joshua to not be on box office. If you're talking about the best way to develop him as a fighter, you don't want him on box office. You don't want him with the pressure of having to fight someone that is of a certain level. Okay, because Joshua's still making plenty of mistakes that need to be rectified before he steps up in levels. Joshua himself said he'd like to have a few more fights at the Dillian Whyte level before he steps up. And I agree. I think it's too early for him. But Sky as a business, can they really sell this type of level fight over and over again as pay-per-view for the next 3-4 fights? Because that's what I think he needs at this type of level. Or will Joshua be prematurely pushed up a level or two before he's ready? I think there's a danger of that happening. I really do. And that's why I mentioned this particular story. Or, whatever Joshua's making, I ain't watching his pockets like that. If you're in the business of boxing, you're a boxer, you're going out there, you're putting your life and your health at risk. However much money you make out of it, good for you. Whether I like you as a fighter or I don't like you as a fighter, I'll never begrudge you making money. You understand? Because you're the one that's out there busting your balls to do what you've been doing. And most fighters have been fighting since they was kids, all the way through to the professional game. So, however much you earn what you can. Don't let the promoters rip you off and all that. But at the same time, as I say, in Joshua's position, I'm a little bit concerned that now he has become a fully fledged cash cow. He might not be handled in a way which is necessarily, beneficial for his development. Rather, he'll be handled in a way which is more beneficial for Sky and all them money men to make their profits. So it is what it is. Let me know how you feel about this story, people. If you've got any more information on it, drop it in the comment section below. It's your boy Hatman, I'm out.